up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Trust Your Board podcast. My name is Steven Wright, joined by Mr. William Monroe. How you doing, Will?
Doing well, Steve. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I can't complain.
I both have off here on a Monday.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're off for the 4th of July?
Yeah. I just took the PTO day kind of between.
Because you got off tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Nice 4-day weekend.
Yeah, man.
Nice. Yeah, we're off for Canada Day, which is Saturday, so the holiday
So
rolls
it's
to
observed
Monday.
today.
Yeah.
Okay. And I assume you're not off tomorrow then?
I am not. No, I am back into the office, and then I got some due dates on some things coming up, so it's going to be jumping into the madness right away.
There you go.
We did leave early on Friday, though. They told us to leave at 1:30, so that was nice.
Yeah, you got like a little bit of a super long weekend, 3.5 days off.
Yeah, a little extra. So can't complain about that.
Always helpful.
Yeah, for real. So today we have a 14-team mock draft. As I'm going through here, I'm realizing I did not change the name of the draft, so maybe I'll get in here and change that now, because it's not PPR either. It's standard, huh, Will?
Yep. Trying out a standard league here with 14 teams. So can't complain about your long weekend, but probably will be able to complain about how we feel about our teams at the end here, given that it's 14 teams.
Yeah, this is a long one. This is going to be it's going to be interesting. This is our first 14-team draft of the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, they always take a little bit longer. So with that in mind, are you ready to just jump right into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Okay, let's start it up. I should have mentioned I am in the 101. Will is in the 106.
Yes. So both here at the front end of the draft. You have a long wait, though, after this first pick.
Yeah. The dreaded turn, and you have to wait forever before you get to pick again. So given that I am on the turn and I have such a long wait, I will not be going wide receiver. I want to lock in a running back because I'm assuming running backs are going to be pretty thin by the time they get back to me.
Especially standard.
Indeed. So I am going to get the 101 of running backs in my eyes, and I think many other eyes, and that would be Mr. Christian McCaffrey. Shame that it is a standard because, he's going to eat in a PPR. But, talent rises to the top regardless of scoring format. So I am going to go ahead and lock in Mr. CMC as the 101. We have Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce there at the 104, and Jamar Chase going off the board. Yeah,
so no other running backs, surprising. Obviously, I think a lot of the top running backs here are pass catchers too, so maybe the just kind of positional advantage isn't there as much, but most of the top receivers and our top tight end go off the board early here. So I was looking at the running back position again as well, and didn't really expect to have Austin Eckler here. Obviously yardage wise, he's going to have a good bit, but I think the catches are what are going to put him over the top, and we don't get any points for that here. I do lean more toward one of the other running backs. I think maybe has a chance to score more. Offensively, it's interesting. I think the Chargers are probably the better team compared to the Colts or Atlanta. But I think these two players in Bijan Robinson and JT are going to be just the workhorse for their team. So when I look at who is available, those two I think would be the ones I would lean toward. And I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor here. Lock in one of the top running backs. I think it is going to thin out by the time it gets back to us here. So after him, Tyreek Hill goes, Austin Eckler at 8, Bijan Robinson, Stephon Diggs, Saquon Barkley, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, and Derrick Henry to round out the first round. And then we have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Jacobs, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Nick Chubb, who was someone I was hoping would maybe get back because he is perfect in this type of format. Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then two quarterbacks come off the board here in Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. So getting back here, we have top of the board, all of our tight ends besides Kelce. We've got Burrow, Lamar, Fields, Herbert, all available at quarterback. If we look at running back, Tony Pollard, Breece Hall, Najee Harris. Ramondre Stevenson. I think it does start to drop off a little bit. So running back is interesting to look and possibly double down on. Receivers, we still have some good receivers. Waddle, Higgins, Olave, Devonta Smith. Probably will be a bit of a drop there as well. But given that, you only have one running back and could go with the second one, I imagine most of these other teams are at least going to go with the running back. I think I'm going to strike where the iron's hot here and look to be the first team in the draft here to get a second running back. I'm going to go with Tony Pollard. I think he is going to be likely the one, maybe the 1A if somebody else emerges, and takes some carries away. But I just don't see anyone that's going to be as close to him as he was to Zeke last year. And I think it's, Brees is obviously interesting, big upside. Najee Harris helpful as well, but just that Dallas offense I think is going to be pretty potent. And I think Tony Pollard is going to eat this year. So we're going to lock in Tony Pollard here. After him, Jalen Waddle, Breece Hall, T. Higgins, Mark Andrews. So still got some running backs there for you.
Yeah, so as I was watching the board, Najee was the guy I was kind of focusing on of, he's going to get a lot of volume.
Yeah.
That offense could take a step forward. So he was the guy I wanted to get to me. So I'm not going to talk too much about him. We'll just lock him in there. I'm going to get my second running back now because I'm happy that he fell to me. What I'm both happy and sad about is that Mark Andrews went. So
yeah, he was right there.
Yeah, he was right there. And, I've seen two different arguments with 14-team leagues. One is if you could get a Kelsey or an Andrews or whoever that, usually there's a third tight end that's good, then you have a huge advantage over everyone else in the league. The other thought process is, only 2 or 3 teams have elite tight ends. So if you just wait and get an average one, you're the same as everyone else. So don't spend the early draft capital. I was leaning on taking Andrews to have the elite upside and the positional advantage, but having running back, tight end, and having the long wait back was kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I was leaning towards trying it just to see what would happen. But alas, that option has been taken away from me because I do not view Hawkinson or Kittle or Pitts or Goddard in that same way. We've seen it from Kittle. Like we know it's a possibility. Pitts has that upside where it's a possibility. But it's too early for me to roll on a possibility when we have someone like Chris Olave sitting here, who is going to be my pick. I do want to get another wide receiver here. And Olave has the upside to be a wide receiver 1, which is solid because I'm drafting pretty firmly in wide receiver 2 range, I think now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, I'm drafting, this would be the wide receiver 13, which I guess would still technically be a 1 in this league. But, grabbing an Olave who I think has top 7 upside. Top 5 might be tough. Getting past Jefferson, Kupp, Chase Hill, is difficult.
Need an injury or 2.
Yeah, exactly. I could see him getting past Diggs maybe at 5.
Yeah.
Or, something happens with Tyreek and this new legal matter, or, Stafford's not the same and Kupp falls. Like, that's all possible. But, if they're all fine, I think 5's probably the cap for Olave. So maybe top 7's more reasonable. But to get him here, I think is solid. And I'm comfortable with him as my 1. So we'll lock him in. We'll begin the long wait. Devonta Smith goes, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, and Joe Burrow.
Yeah, so back to me here. Smith and Olave both would have been nice to get back. So it's a bummer to see both of them go. Burrow goes off the board, so another quarterback. So not really looking at tight end at this point. You've got everyone but those top 2. Not really looking at quarterback. Lamar Jackson, interesting. But with just those top quarterbacks off the board here, I think I'll probably end up just waiting. I feel like I'm usually going to be more inclined to do that in a 14-team league, given just the scarcity at those other positions. So looking at what we have here, I'm tempted to go with a third running back just because there's some top ones available, and I think kind of the tier fell a bit for receiver for me. Metcalf, Debo, Keenan Allen. There's still some solid guys, but I think a little lower down, Ridley, DJ Moore, Drake London, Chris Godwin. There's decent guys that I could begin my team with, receiver wise, but with having just a really strong running back core. Ramondre Stevenson would be the guy here for me. The New England backfield can always be a little dicey, but it does seem like he's kind of got that on lockdown right now. There's still some other decent running backs available. So, I'm really tempted with a Stevenson or just getting a receiver here in a Metcalf and a Debo. My thought would be, whichever one I get, with my next pick, if I went Stevenson, you'd be looking at like a DJ Moore, Drake London, versus taking DK Metcalf here and looking more at like a Miles Sanders or Madison. So I kind of think, thinking through that way, and I think it's a good way to look at it. Like, who could you get with your next pick or your next couple picks? I think the receiver, it would be the pick here. DK Metcalf, I think, is pretty squarely as the one there. We're a little uncertain with JSN coming in, but I think it's going to affect Lockett more than DK, barring injuries. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Mr. DK Metcalf here. Big player. He's got the potential for a lot of touchdowns this year. After DK, Ramondre goes Joe Mixon, Jahmyr Gibbs, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Jones, Keenan Allen, Deebo Samuel, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper, TJ Hawkinson, Terry McLaurin, Justin Fields, Dalvin Cook, George Kittle, DJ Moore, and J.K. Dobbins. One thing that is a little tempting here, still having like Herbert, Lawrence still on the board. I think kind of that's the end of a tier there, and there's 4 teams. 4 of the 5 teams that would be picking between me and my next pick don't have a quarterback. So in all likelihood, 2 of them go. I'm not sure if you would go with one of them, but I think there's a good chance both of them go. So if I wanted a quarterback, like one of those top guys, this would probably be the time to strike at that position. But looking here just at the other positions, we've got receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, Drake London, Watson, Godwin, Jerry Jeudy, Pittman. Still some solid guys, and I think there still should be somebody available that I'll like at receiver in the next round. So if I look at running back, Pierce is the top guy here on the board. We've got Miles Sanders, Alexander Madison. So those are the guys I was looking at to be kind of workhorse running backs. I think Sanders and Madison would be the 2 I'd be looking at here at this spot to get just a third running back. Be thrilled to have the 3 on my team, and feel strong there. But I think also, if your league is going to be active in trading, having those running backs in a 14-team league is just so valuable when it comes to trade bait, when it comes to insurance on one of them getting hurt, because it's just so hard to find another one. So I think I'm going to strike a running back again here. There's more than enough receivers that I'm okay with for my next pick. So I'm going to go with Miles Sanders. I think he is, one of the workhorse backs we still have. I mean, I'm sure Chuba will get some work. And there's definitely some concern with the rookie quarterback there. But as we talked about before, some of the research has shown that receivers and tight ends of rookie quarterbacks are, definitely affected and hard to live up to what they could be. Whereas running backs are going to be somewhat affected, but usually not as much. So I don't feel as bad grabbing the running back here for a rookie quarterback in Miles Sanders. After him, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Herbert goes, DeAndre Swift, Christian Watson.
Yeah, that's a shame. I knew Herbert wasn't going to get back to me.
Yeah.
But I might have pulled the trigger, as we're definitely getting a little weaker at the quarterback position. I'll run through everyone real quick here for each position. At quarterback, we got Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, Tua, Anthony Richardson. At running back, still decently solid. Dameon Pierce, Alexander Mattson, James Conner, Cam Akers, Devontae Williams, Kamara. It's crazy seeing Kamara down here in the 4th round still available.
Still blows my mind, yeah. I mean, just don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to play half the year?
Yep, you just
don't
know.
Projecting him at only like 145 points. I feel like that projected for like maybe half a season or 2/3 of a season.
Yeah, it's tough. At the wide receiver position, Drake London, Chris Godwin, Jerry Jeudy, Michael Pittman, Hollywood Brown, Mike Williams, that kind of tier. And then at tight end, we still only have 4 off the board. We have Kyle Pitts, Goddard, Waller, Freiermuth, Evan Ingram, that kind of tier of tight end, which is tempting to some degree. You know, getting a Kyle Pitts, the upside, Goddard would be nice. But I think I'd rather just wait. And, you know, if one of them happens to get back to me, which I guess is possible, cool. If not, then that Njoku, Komet, Chig, Dulcich tier is fine with me. I think I'm going to strike a balance here, and I'm going to grab one of each. The running backs, I'd imagine by the time they get back to me, are going to be pretty thin. We'll be looking at that, I don't know, AJ Dillon, Anthony Gibson kind of tier, maybe. So I don't know where his ADP will be come draft season. I'm sure it's still moving around. But Alexander Mattson is the top running back on my board. He's always looked good when he's the starter. Cook's out of the way. You know, Dameon Pierce could be great, but, you know, he could be splitting time with Singletary. James Conner's a volume play, a guy that, you know, historically has got a lot of touchdowns and is now looking at an offense that doesn't appear to be scoring a lot of touchdowns. Cam Akers gives me some pause because he's probably got more upside than anyone in this bunch, given the draft pedigree, what we've seen before, the offenses that he's on, but his floor is non-existent as we saw last year. I really don't think he's going to get back to that non-existent tier, but I guess it's possible. And Javonte Williams, a lot of upside, but could miss large chunks of the season. So I'm largely avoiding him. I'm going to grab Madison. I almost talked myself into Akers, but I'm going to grab Mr. Madison here. I'm just going to play a little safe. And then at wide receiver, I'm going to draft somebody that I don't think I've drafted this year yet. And that's going to be Drake London. Going to grab myself a nice, at the very least, a high volume player. And at the top end, you know, a second year breakout. You're going to need some stars to align for that to happen. You know, the quarterback situation, Riddler needs to take a step forward. The offense needs to be pass heavy enough to support that breakout. But at the very least, a solid volume play. I don't see the upside with Godwin anymore in that offensive situation. Jerry Jeudy's probably got it, but we're on year like 5 of Jeudy. Michael Pittman, the offense is tough. Hollywood Brown, Kyler. We've talked about that in previous pods. So I'm going to lock in Mr. Drake London. I'm going to grab one of each. We'll see what gets back to me here. One tight end already off the board. Dameon Pierce goes right after me, and then Dallas Goedert going ahead of Kyle Pitts, which I don't think we've seen too often.
No.
And then Chris Godwin and Michael Pittman.
Yeah, so some temptation here. Pitts and Trevor Lawrence both still being on the board at the onesie positions are very tempting. I do have 3 running backs, so I feel good there, but only the 1 receiver. But I don't mind some of the receivers I think that will be available when it comes back to me. So I feel like trying out getting one of these onesie positions locked in here, you know, with a upside of a Kyle Pitts or the upside of a Trevor Lawrence, both of which I think, you know, have big time breakout potential this year. It's tough between the two, because if I look, you know, there's tons of quarterbacks, you know, that I wouldn't mind getting later. The tight end does drop off a little more. I do really like Trevor Lawrence, but, you know, Pitt's still being here at this point, I think it's just too much to pass up. You know, receivers, Jeudy would be the pick if I went receiver, but Hollywood Brown, Ayuk, Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, Deontay Johnson, I think they're all fine wide receiver 2s with the depth I have at running back already, and, you know, the potential, you know, top 5 tight end that I could have with Pitts. So I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts. Jeudy goes next. James Conner, Trevor Lawrence, Alvin Kamara, Darren Waller, Tyler Lockett, Cam Akers. Javonte Williams rounds out the 5th round. Mike Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, Marquise Brown, Christian Kirk, David Montgomery, Rashad White, Brandon Ayuk, and Deontay Johnson. So had just two non-onesie positions go since, with Trevor Lawrence going and Darren Waller. So no longer going to be needing to look at the tight end position. Quarterback, there was, I think, kind of that teardrop after Trevor Lawrence. Would have been tempting if he was still there here, but typically don't like to go with too early onesie positions. So if we look, the running backs, it's a little barren, so I am pretty happy. I've got 3 here. Top guys on the board: James Cook, AJ Dillon, Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson, Jamal Williams. So some decent depth guys, but not guys I'd be thrilled about. And when I'm looking at receiver, there's still some decent guys available. Mike Evans sticks out to me here as just a really good value. I know people are not high on the team, but he has just been the model of consistency throughout his career. And only a few of those years were with Tom Brady. I know everyone's going to point to Tom Brady, as the reason, but man, if he has not been I think top 20 almost every year, go up here, standard scoring, 10, 26, 1, 20, then 6, 8, 8, 6, and then 16 last year. So he's just so consistent that this late, comparing him with other receivers, potential breakout of a George Pickens, rookie in JSN, Treylon Burks, Addison, Dotson. There's a lot of guys here, younger guys, that I can pick, I think, in my next pick. Quentin Johnston's still down there. So some potential breakout guys, but no one that I think has, just the solid floor that a Mike Evans is going to have. So thrilled to get him here with what I've already got in place as my second receiver. So we're going to lock in Mike Evans. After him, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. So a lot of those young receivers starting to go here. You are on the clock.
Yeah, and the top of the 80 pay list is another young receiver in Jordan Addison. And that very well may be the pick. But let's take a look here. Quarterbacks, like you had said, not a lot happened. Trevor Lawrence went, and that's it. So we still got Dak and Watson, Tua, a lot of good options. How many quarterbacks do we have, or how many quarterback needy teams are there? Team 2 and 3. So that's 2. You make 4, 5, and 6. So still quite a few. After that initial 3 rounds, it really slowed down. Tight end position, saw some movement there. I had mentioned that if Goddard or Pitts got back to me, I'd take the shot, but I figured they wouldn't, and they didn't. Darren Waller went as well. So I'm fine waiting, especially knowing that you have a tight end. I don't have to worry so much about Chig. So we could wait on him. So we're back to the running back and the wide receiver position. I was dead on in my running back thought. Top 80 people were James Cook, AJ Dillon, and Antonio Gibson. That's the tier that I thought we'd be in, and that's where we're at. So I think I'm comfortable enough with my running backs that it's time for me to look away, because none of them, Gibson, not a bad depth guy. Khalil Herbert, a little bit further down, solid. But I want to give some focus to my wide receivers here. I got Olave, I got London. I think I want a Mr. Jordan Addison on this team looking at it. It's going to take them a while for rookies. They rarely come out week 1 and start producing a lot for fantasy. But the second half of the year, they could really, they tend to really jump out when they're of the tier of Mr. Jordan Addison. And I think that could be the case here. So I'm going to lock him in there as my 3. And now it becomes the issue, I'm looking through and no one's jumping out at me to a high degree. Kadarius Toney's here if I really want to take an upside shot. Brandon Cooks, who very well may be the pick. I would like to think he's going to be a safer pick. Wide receiver 2 potential. More likely, probably a reliable 3. Juju, I am not touching Juju. Quentin Johnston, who I like, and just not interested in this year for redraft. As long as you got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams there, I'm not playing that game. Michael Thomas, who knows? You want to throw the dart. Maybe he's decent. Definitely not be Michael Thomas of old, but maybe he'll be good enough. Gabe Davis, who knows? I'm personally tired of playing that game. Cortland Sutton, I still like. Rashad Bateman would be nice here. I do think I am going to draft Brandon Cooks, though. I got a lot of youth on this team with Olave, London, and Addison. My wide receivers are all year 1 or year 2. So let's add a reliable, what I hope to be a reliable veteran in Brandon Cooks. Hope he's got a nice rapport with Dak Prescott. If so, that should pay dividends there. So we'll lock him in. We have James Cook go off the board right after me, and then Dak Prescott, another quarterback going, Quentin Johnson, and Njoku.
Yeah, so Quentin Johnson was the one I was hoping would get back to me. Unfortunately, he did not make it. So we still have quarterback Watson, Tua Tagovailoa, Anthony Richardson, Kirk Cousins. Still quite a few QBs. At running back, A.J. Dillon, Antonio Gibson's got some upside and hype, I think, this offseason so far. Penny, Herbert, Samaje Perine, so some solid running backs. At receiver, Kadarius Toney, Juju Smith-Schuster, Michael Thomas, Gabe Davis, Cortland Sutton, Zay Flowers. So not in love with the receiver position here. I feel like I would probably just kind of take a shot on a young guy in like a Zay Flowers and see what could come of that. If I look here, going a little further down, there's really not a ton at this point. And I think that's just 14 team leagues for you. I mean, we are on middle of the 7th round, and that's an extra 12 teams that are off the board, or 12 players that are off the board when you add those 2 additional teams to slate in. So I think that's what does it, unfortunately. But yeah, at this point, I think I'm just going to grab guys that I think fit the team here, and I think Zay Flowers makes sense as an upside shot here for me with my third receiver. There's plenty of decent floor guys, but not too many guys with big ceilings left. So Zay is going to be the pick here for me. After him, Pat Freiermuth, Kadarius Toney, Antonio Gibson, Evan Ingram, A.J. Dillon, Sean Watson, and Tua both go. And then Dalton Schultz, Gabe Davis, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jamal Williams, Brian Robinson, Rashad Penny, Anthony Richardson, Khalil Herbert, and Samaje Perine. So some of those depth running backs I was talking about do go. So have some rookies in Zach Charbonnet, Devon Achane, got Damian Harris in Buffalo, McKinnon, Elijah Mitchell, Devin Singletary. So still some solid running backs available. At receiver, still have some of those guys we talked about with Michael Thomas on the board still. Cortland Sutton, Rashad Bateman. Got Elijah Moore a little further down. So I think at this stage, I've got another upside guy. Probably look to get something a little bit more solid. And weird to maybe not think that Michael Thomas is as solid as he was in the past. But I think I'm going to look for a guy in Cortland Sutton at this stage. Routinely going a few rounds after Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy went at 5'7". This would be 8'9" that you'd be getting his teammate there. There's still some hype around Tim Patrick coming back from injury. He did get injured early in the year, so I think he's got a good chance to come back and be healthy. But it is just always so tough when you're coming back from an ACL tear. Usually it's maybe the second year back that you're really back to yourself. So at this stage, I'm going to go with who I think is going to be at least the wide receiver 2 there. Obviously, there's a chance that he still gets moved in the offseason, but as of now, drafting him here gives me some more stability at the wide receiver position. So locking in Cortland Sutton, who probably starts the year as my third receiver with Zay Flowers as a rookie. You'll see how long it takes him to break out. Zach Charbonnet goes next. Michael Thomas, Elijah Moore, and Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, so the shoe really dropped at the quarterback position.
Yeah, people started going quick, huh?
Yeah, between my last pick, we had 5 go, one of which was a backup. I don't know what you need Trevor Lawrence and Anthony Richardson for, but
Yep, cool. That's going to happen here with these CPUs.
It is. So we have Aaron Rodgers is still on the board. Probably the second highest upside. I mean, Daniel Jones was good last year. Geno was good. I mean, I don't know what you would, what you want to say his upside is. A lot of people think he's going to come back down to earth, clearly. Goff was good for stretches. Russell Wilson could always break out. Kyler is the real wild card. So you have some options. I don't know what to do.
These are rough, man.
Yeah, of that group, like I lean Aaron Rodgers to be like, well, if someone's gonna bounce back, I would trust the Hall of Famer with, Garrett Wilson and the OC and the Jets surging again. Like that seems like where I want to place my bet. But it's like, well, Daniel Jones is young, he looked good. Geno was great for fantasy last year. Everyone's just written him off as, it had to be a 1 year wonder, but it doesn't have to be. Jared Goff was good for large stretches last year. Russell Wilson, similar story to Aaron Rodgers, like new coaching staff, could he bounce back? And then Kyler, I mean, of those is probably the easy one. If he's healthy and only misses a few games, that's a huge win in the 8th round. If he misses half a year or whatever it may be, then you have made a mistake. I don't know. I really don't know what to do. I'm going to wait. No one's jumping out at me. I'm going to wait and see what gets back to me here.
Just going to pass on the pick and.
Yeah, I'm going to pass entirely. The whole pick. Anyone. I'm just going to take one pick. Yeah. I'm just going to pass a quarterback and see what happens. It's possible it gets back to me and I'm in that Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray kind of tier, and I'd be okay with that. So we'll roll the dice. There are 2 players I want here. And normally I would look and say, well, I'm solid at running back. I want A-Chain. But with the Dalvin Cook talk of Miami, that kind of worries me. So I'm probably not going to take my shot on A-Chain. But there is a wide receiver and there is a tight end I want. Wide receiver, Mr. Rashad Bateman. I think that's great value here in the 8th round for an offense that could be quite explosive. And then at the tight end position, I'll go ahead and grab Chigakonkwo now. A lot of people have him pegged as a breakout for the year, and I believe the metrics look good. So I'm going to lock him in as my tight end. We'll see how this quarterback game plays out here for me. We have OBJ that goes right after me. A-Chain, Jameson Williams. Man, this Jay Williams thing, I think I've brought this up 3 times in a row, or 3 pods in a row, man. It is annoying. And Damian Harris.
So interesting. The quarterback position, Aaron Rodgers is still here, and I think it's like a boom bust type of pick. You could end up with, Aaron Rodgers of old with, great weapons and, steps forward. You could also end up with the Russell Wilson of this year, and he doesn't look as good. The team just doesn't click. New setup. So it's interesting. I doubt he gets back to me if I do want to. If I don't want to wait, I'm looking at Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, Derek Carr, Matt Stafford, lower down, Kyler that you mentioned. So there's definitely opportunity to wait. If we look at running back, Jerick McKinnon's still here, a guy that I think is going to be utilized, and as a 4th running back, I think would be a good value. Beyond him, Singletary's a little further down. And then we've got not a ton of receivers that I like here. So I think if I don't go running back, I think I'm going to take the shot on Rodgers. It's a wait on a quarterback and I'm limited on upside. I think I'll take a shot. I don't think I've gotten Rodgers in any mock drafts this year. So we'll take a shot on Rodgers, and the quarterback run begins. Daniel Jones, Jared Goff. Yeah. Tyler Higbee, Cole Kmet, Dalton Kincaid all go too. So 3 tight ends. Singletary, McKinnon, Geno Smith goes to end the round. And then Alan Lazard, Adam Thielen, Russell Wilson goes. Deonta Foreman, Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore, Elijah Mitchell, and Jacoby Myers. So I would probably be just saying, I'm just going to take Derek Carr, Matt Stafford here, lock them in, because don't want to have to worry about waiting and having another team take a second quarterback. But luckily don't have to worry about that because I have my quarterback locked in. So if I'm looking at positions here, we've got some receivers. Top on the board is Tyler Boyd, but I kind of like a Jonathan Mingo in Carolina. I think he has one of the best shots to break out as a rookie. Now, as we talked earlier, rookie quarterback, does hurt sometimes, but it's interesting. If I look at running back, still got some solid rookie running backs in Roschon Johnson and Tank Bigsby, and then some more vets like Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, since there's quite a few of them there, I'm going to take a guy that I think is one of the more valuable handcuffs. And it is your handcuff, I believe, as well, in a Jalen Warren. He just showed that he can play in this league.
Yeah,
And
it's a
the
good pick.
offensive line got better. Yeah, and I'll probably be able to go with either one of those Miami running backs or a rookie in the next round beyond him. But just to get that depth at the position here, Jalen Warren. After him, Ezekiel Elliott, Jonathan Mingo, Tyler Algier, Rashee Rice.
Okay, so back on the clock, and I do need to pay some attention to the running back position. It has been a long time since I drafted one, and I'm still only at 3.
That's what I felt there as well.
Yeah, it's time. So I face a debate. Part of me wants to draft 2. Kendre Miller, Roshan Johnson, reach for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'd be happy with all of them. But the quarterback position is something I need to address at some point.
Mindful of.
I'm getting beaten up. And in this situation, I wouldn't mind drafting 2, provided one of those 2 is Kyler. Mm-hmm. Like if I could draft a Kyler this round and maybe on the next one pick up Stafford. I'd be okay with that. I think I'm going to roll the dice again, though. I think I'm going to wait because Kyler scares me. You got Stafford down there. You still do have Brock Purdy down there, who I think will be serviceable. Maybe he could take a step forward as well. He just doesn't have the rushing upside. So I think I'm going to wait again and just see what happens. This is why you mock, right? You just kind of
that's why you try it out,
screw around and see what happens. So I am going to take an upside guy in with one of the rookies. So I'm just going to reach. I'm going to lock in Clyde Edwards-Helaire now. It's probably early, but he is probably still technically the starter. I mean, I don't know. Him and Pacheco might split. I don't know what's happening with him, but I'm going to lock him in there because I feel like as a veteran, I'm just a little bit more safer with him than a rookie. So I'm going to lock him in as some depth. And then at the running back or the rookie position, it's between Kendre Miller and Roshan Johnson. And I'm not sure which I like more. Like Kendre Miller, I think as a player and an upside standpoint, I like more. But from an opportunity standpoint, he's got Kamara there, and that could be a problem. But we don't know that situation. Where Roshan Johnson, I don't think has the same upside. But his situation's tough in that he's in a 3-way matchup. But like Khalil Herbert and Foreman are not elite running backs that you need to overcome. My tiebreaker is going to be that I have drafted Roshan 1 or 2 times this year already, and I don't think I've drafted Kendre Miller at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull the trigger on Kendre Miller.
There you go.
Get myself some running back depth there, and we'll see what happens at the quarterback position. One has already gone. So Dulcich goes, Tyler Boyd, Bryce Young, and Sam Laporta.
Yeah, and it is just really nice to not have to worry about quarterback or tight end. I, get to love to see when they do go ahead of me here, but I am just clicked on the running back receiver flex tab here on Sleeper and just not having to worry about moving it all there. And happy to still see some of the running backs that I like still on the board. Mostert and Wilson both still there. Some of the rookies and Roshan and Bigsby still there as well. So I think I'm going to go with one of the rookie running backs here. We'll see. Probably not a huge chance that Jeff Wilson or Mostert makes it back, but to get one of them would be decent. But regardless, I think I want to go with another running back just to load up some more depth there. And I don't really love a lot of the receivers here. Some ones I like a little more, maybe further down. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in one of these running backs in Roshan Johnson and Bigsby. They have been like neck and neck for me. I feel like they seem very similar. Maybe they'll get a few pass catching, but for the most part, I think they'll be guys that get their work on the ground more than anything. And I'm just going to go with, I was going to say that the offense I think is going to be better, but man, I don't know. Jacksonville, Chicago, I think they both are going to be improved offenses. I don't think I've taken Bigsby yet, so I'm going to take a playbook from you here and go with the guy that I don't think I've taken. I know I've taken Roshan a good bit. And I don't I don't have anybody from either of those teams, so it's not like that does anything for me. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Tank Bigsby here, get another young running back to just have for a potential breakout. I'm happy to see not many receivers going. So Gerald Everett, Rashad Johnson, Raheem Mostert, Jordan Love, Zay Jones, Michael Mayer, Kyler Murray. So one guy that you were maybe banking on there. Sky Moore go to end the round. Then Dawson Knox, Jalen Hyatt, Jawan Johnson, Romeo Dubes, Jeff Wilson, Michael Gallup, Nico Collins, and Leonard Fournette. So going pretty good at running back. Tajay Spears is someone that I think is interesting. I know he's firmly behind Derrick Henry, but man, every time I do just watch some more of his tape, just film on him, he is just so electric. It reminds me of LaShawn McCoy, the way he can cut. So he is just so exciting, but at this stage, I don't think I can afford kind of that luxury, lottery ticket, because you need a lot to work your way to work out for that. So if I'm looking at the receiver position, which is where I'm going to probably hit at least once or twice here the rest of the way, we've got DJ Chark, we've got Hunter Renfrow, a guy in Rashee Rice, who is someone I think a lot of people are predicting for a breakout, and we'll see. I guess Michael Thomas is going to be, it's going to be kind of dependent. He's going to be dependent on Michael Thomas. We got Jalen Reed in Green Bay, Peoples-Jones in Cleveland, Osborne, Wandale Robinson, Pearson Mechie, some other younger guys. Then we'll take a shot on Rashid Shaheed here in New Orleans. I think he's just got some. There's going to be targets available there. So after him, two more quarterbacks go. Your boy Matt Stafford. So I know that one probably hurt. Tajay Spears, Derek Carr, and Jerome Ford.
Yeah, I was looking good, man. I had Stafford and
you
Carr on the board.
almost got it.
Yeah, I mean, the comfort is that Sleeper does stupid things, and this would never happen in a real draft, unless you're in a league that people draft backup quarterbacks a lot. They're out there in all leagues. I don't think that, whole leagues tend to do it, but yeah. So that's not the best situation for me. I might draft two quarterbacks. I'm just going to wait until the last round to do it. So I'm going to lock in Brock Purdy now. I firmly believe Brock Purdy's the starter. I've heard nothing out of camp that has shown Lance or Darnold do anything. And Brock could throw the ball. He's not going to give you a lot of rushing upside, but he could throw the ball. So I'm going to go with Mr. Purdy here as my quarterback one. My goal is to get Sam Howell with my last pick because he does run the ball. And maybe with that offense, new OC coming in and him being in his second year, maybe he takes a step up. Wishful thinking, probably. But we'll see. The other positions, like you had mentioned, there's plenty of good wide receivers still out there. There is a running back that I want. There's actually a couple. And given my running back depth isn't great, I'm going to grab Gus Edwards. See what he's got left in the tank.
Always seems to be just hanging around at the end of the draft for somebody. Like, oh, I forgot Gus was there. Ooh.
Yeah. It's an easy depth play. A guy, you could hold 2 weeks, see if he has anything left in the tank or if they're using him, and if not, cut him. And if so, then you might just have really hit the lottery because Gus has been good for fantasy when he's not hurt. So I'm going to lock him in there, and we'll see if Sam Howell gets back to me. Another quarterback immediately goes after board after me.
CJ.
So we'll see. I'll have to do a count. I think every team has a backup except for team 11 and you. And you're not.
So I was thinking about going with a quarterback for my next two picks.
Of course, yes. The norm, yes.
Have we ever seen a team go three quarterbacks that's not like a super flex?
I don't think so. I mean, if it was going to happen, it's going to be a 14-teamer, right?
It would happen here, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you would think. But yeah, so looking at those onesie positions again here, I'm pretty balanced. I've got 5 of each. I'd like to leave here with 1 of each of those. So we look at running back, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Kenny Gainwell, or guys that I like right here. Pierre Strong a little further down at receiver. I like Wandale Robinson, Alec Pierce, Mechie. Van Jefferson is someone that's a good bit further down, but I think I may be able to get him with my next pick if I'm just kind of, might be close. So actually, because I don't really love any of the running backs, I want to go Van Jefferson here in my first pick. Lock him in. I think he's a safe, floor play for me, especially with some of the shakiness the receiving core is. After him, KJ Osborne, Wandale Robinson, Jaden Reed. We've got Donovan Peoples-Jones, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Kareem Hunt. And the 13th round, Kenny Gainwell, John Mechie, Cordero Patterson, Alec Pierce, Marvin Mims, Josh Downs, Mike Gesicki, and Curtis Samuel. So you have survived most of this round here. If you were hoping to grab Kenny Pickett or Trey Lance, Sam Howell, as you mentioned there. So looking at what's available, not a ton. We've got Ty Chandler, Dwayne McBride, both Minnesota running backs, Zach Evans, rookie in LA for the Rams, Ben Akanda, Pierre Strong. At wide receiver, Isaiah Hodgins, someone that's interesting, Puka Nacua, Robert Woods. I think I'm just going to take a shot on a running back here, and I'm going to go grab Pierre Strong, see if he is involved in the offense with New England early on. If he's not, I can kind of move on. But he's someone that I liked what I saw last year out of his rookie year, and he's got an opportunity to be the number 2. So after him, Ty Chandler, Dwayne McBride, Taysom Hill, and Zach Evans.
Yeah, so with the final pick, let's go ahead and we'll run through all the positions here, Will, just to see what the options are. We have Pickett, Lance, Sam Howell, Mac Jones, Ritter, Jimmy G, Tannehill, Baker, Trask, sorry.
There's a lot, but really none.
Nothing.
It's like
nothing at all, really.
Right.
Abanaconda's there, Deuce Vaughn, Michael Carter, Eric Gray, Zamir White, Josh Kelly. End of the list. I don't know. Like Abanaconda's gotten some good talk. Deuce Vaughn, obviously a 2 in Dallas when they could use a 2 and have used 2 in the past. Everyone else, I mean, Kyron Williams, maybe. End of the list. A wide receiver, Isaiah Hodgins, solid. Tank Dell, rookie quarterback situation that's kind of messy. Claypool sucks. Robert Woods is too old. MVS didn't do much last year. Paris Campbell has opportunity, I guess. Khalil Shakir, second year. Darius Slayton. That's actually a good last pick. Darius Slayton in that room, there's plenty of room for him to do something we've seen in the past. So that's a solid pick.
A lot of those Giants receivers going toward the end of the drafts.
A last pick in a 14-team, Trey McBride. That's a nice tight end, upside shot. I would take, looking at the guys ahead that have gone at tight end, Higbee, Everett, Laporta. I mean, all of these guys, I think I would take Trey McBride over, given they lost Hopkins. I mean, it depends on the Kyler situation. I really don't think Ertz is going to be able to bounce back. But like Taysom Hill, Irv Smith's never done anything. Gesicki's just never amounted to anything. Everett's so hit or miss. Your rookie in Laporta's not going to do anything. Higbee, he's not bad, but he's not going to shoot to the top, where like Trey McBride could have some sort of breakout campaign. So I think that's interesting. Not for me, but it's interesting that he's out there. I hate drafting a second quarterback, especially like Sam Howell. He rushes the ball, and that's nice. And you could tell the story. He's got 2 wide receivers that are solid.
I feel like you could almost make the same story for a Ritter. If that offense is going to be good, he's going to be decent, right? Probably not great.
They run the ball too much.
Yeah.
Where Sam Howell, I think they'll pass more, and his rushing could get him. The problem is if the Stars,
Ritter would run the ball too, though. I feel like I'm trying to think what he did last year. I feel like he had some carries. 16 carries, 64 yards, so not a ton. But he only played in 4 games. So.
That's the same thing with Howell. He didn't play enough.
Yeah.
The problem is the Stars alive for Sam Howell. And what is he, a quarterback 2? Like, if everything is perfect, unless he just unleashes and he's the next big thing, which, he's got the coach, he's got the wide receivers, he's got the OC to kind of do it. I just don't think anyone actually thinks it's going to happen. So, like, I'm burning my last pick on somebody with quarterback 2 upside when I already have a quarterback when you have like a Deuce Vaughn available. But like, it's not like any of these guys are realistically going to hit any either. It's just Deuce Vaughn is a wide receiver or a running back 2, and a team that uses 2 running backs that wants to run the ball could be valuable. But I'm gonna do what I say. I'm gonna lock in Mr. Sam Howell, and Wolf. I'm glad that's over with.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gamble in the quarterback position, it works out, and sometimes sleepers just like, nah. I'm gonna draft like 5 in the next round, and half of them will be backups, and you'll just live with it. So it is what it is. But that closes out the draft. I am in the 1 spot. Will is in the 6. I will read through my team here first. At quarterback, we got both Brock Purdy and Sam Howell. At running back, Christian McCaffrey, Najee Harris, Alexander Mattison, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kendre Miller, and Gus Edwards. At wide receiver, we have Chris Olave, Drake London, Jordan Addison, Brandon Cooks, Rashad Bateman, and then at the tight end position, Chigakonkwo. What's your team looking like?
Yes, I've got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, Miles Sanders, Jaylen Warren, Tank Bigsby, and Pierre Strong at running back, DK Metcalf, Mike Evans, Zay Flowers, Cortland Sutton, Rashid Shaheed, and Van Jefferson at wide receiver, and Kyle Pitts at tight end.
What do you think of that team?
Yeah, I think I like it more than I thought I would for a 14-team league. Definitely scared about the receivers, but I think it did a decent job putting that receiving core together, given that I've got the upside of 3 top running backs and, what you hope Kyle Pitts is. Obviously, that's a big coin toss for him. But if he is what he should be, I think that's a big positional advantage. Rodgers is fine, right? He should be at least. If he's not, then we'll have to look to the waivers and be in the same boat as you when it comes to quarterback. How about you? How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's mostly that fear. I'm happy with my team up until my Chig pick. McCaffrey, Najee, Mattison. That's a great trio of running backs. I'm comfortable with Olave, London, Addison, Cooks, and Bateman. And then, I believe in the Chig breakout. So like I'm good until there. But then my depth running backs of Clyde, Kendre Miller, Gus Edwards is kind of scary. It would have been nice to have someone else, Damian Harris, Singletary, like someone I believed a little bit more in. And then obviously the quarterback position went to hell. But, in a realistic draft, that's not going to happen. But at the same time, Purdy could be fine. If Purdy is a better fantasy quarterback than Rodgers, Daniel Jones, Goff, Anthony Richardson, Deshaun Watson, I would not be surprised. Tua would be a surprise. Dak would probably be a surprise. Kirk would be a surprise. So he's still on the lower end tier. But given that, Watson went in the 7th round and Purdy's in the 12th, if they come out even, that's a huge win for me. But yeah, that's obviously pretty scary, but might just have to try to stream best you can, which in this league would be incredibly difficult since everyone has 2 quarterbacks. But we'll see. But yes,
but we did not have our first 3 quarterback team yet, though, so we can still keep that on the board.
It did not happen. No, I don't know. Maybe that team with Lawrence and Richardson had gone 6 rounds without a quarterback, so they might have been the most likely. Once it got to you, I figured it wouldn't happen since all the teams after you have drafted one recently.
Yeah.
But it's not to be. Not to be. But hey, well, that's going to wrap up the mock draft. Tune in next week for another mock. I guess we'll jump back to another 12-teamer. And until then, trust your board.